Let's understand what is Azure and what is Azure SQL. SQL database. We'll understand slowly different implementation plans for Azure SQL in this short session, and we'll understand about our course details step by step. This is Sai Fanindra from SQL School, assuring you complete practice orientation step by step. And today let's understand few basic details about Azure SQL concepts. Let's get started. Let's understand slowly step by step. Firstly, to understand Azure SQL, let's start from database. Yes, a platform to store any type of data, any amount of data, fully secured. DBMS, Database Management System. A software to store, secure, manage databases. Example like SQL Server, IBM DB2, MySQL, Oracle, Sybase, so on. SQL Server, a software from Microsoft, cheaper, easy to use, and free technical support with free updates. So here it is. SQL Server is our house. Databases are the rooms inside it. And to talk to databases, to work with databases, we need SQL. To operate on any database, we require SQL. I repeat again, server is our house, database is our rooms. And to work with these databases, we need something called SQL, Structured Query Language. Now, this SQL we can implement in Azure in three different ways. What are they? Simple and straight. To go there, before that, the prerequisite. Make sure we have on-premise SQL concepts first. Right from database types to on-premise mean non-cloud SQL activities we should be having complete touch. Editions, versions, installations, various installation properties, graphical interface, and SQL concepts. Right from basic DML, DDL commands to cloning, copying tables with structure, with data, only structure, only data, basic SQL commands, schemas, constraints, temporary tables, indexes, joins, group by, stored procedures, functions, triggers. If not programming level, querying level, basic level, we should be aware of, including transactions, logins, group by concepts, merging activities. Make sure you get all these SQL basics with hands-on on at least two servers. One server not enough. We are learning a course for our job work. We should be relaxed at our job to work with ease or to service the customer request with ease. One server traditional learning is not enough. We need to implement at least 2 to 3 servers. In our classes, we have 3 servers, 2 local in your computer, one online, our license server. We need to have complete hands-on with all these concepts. Then we are ready for the actual Azure activities. We are going to learn from scratch cloud basics, cloud implementations. There are 3 different styles of cloud components. We need to learn them. We need to learn when to use which. We have something called Azure accounts and resource activities. We need to learn something called Active Directory, Azure SQL Server and Azure SQL Database to understand the database architecture in Azure. It has a lot of difference with SQL database architecture in on-premise. Then we need to understand, because of those differences we come across few migration issues. To understand the migration issues, we should know DTU, data transaction units and elastic pools. We should be aware of actual migrations, database migrations, data migrations, and data lake storage to understand additional migration activities using DMA tools, data migration assistant tools. Then comes SQL database tuning, backups, management, point in time recovery, complete database restores, and LTR, long term restores. We need to learn. We need to learn about high availability and disaster recovery, replication, server failover. We need to learn about data sync operations, HADR, high availability and disaster recovery, in our classes practically. We need to practice on-premise means non-cloud and cloud data exchange, data replication to and fro, non-cloud SQL server to Azure SQL server and vice versa. Then comes Azure SQL server security, server security, database security, logins, users. Here as well, there are good number of differences between local regular SQL server, non-cloud SQL server, and Azure. We need to learn something called row level security, dynamic data masking, encryption strategies, and EAS. I said there are 3 models: SAS, PaaS, and EAS. Out of this SAS, there is no implementation for SQL Server. We have SQL Server PaaS and SQL Server EAS, 2 different items. There's something called SQL Server PaaS and SQL Server EAS. We need to understand about those concepts in detail. Whatever items we have, right from first to all these items until here, all these come under PaaS, platform as a service. From here comes the next item. I'll just mark it like this. These come under EAS, infrastructure as a service. So we have PaaS and EAS. Infrastructure as a service has more control on processor and memory, more control on network and IP address activities. The virtual machines, Windows clusters, availability groups, SQL clusters, and always on implementation with complete guidance for DP300 certification. Part of our course, part of our classes. Well, so where we are on my screen, the complete course catalog. Make sure we are aware of the on-premise activities. Make sure we are aware of box 1, 11 thoroughly. Then step into box number 12, our actual course, that high availability, disaster recovery, etc. To make it more clear, what we need to be aware of. Box 1, 11 and 12. I mean, make sure we are aware of box 1, 11. That includes database basics, architecture, routine DBA, emergency DBA, and HADR activities. These are the items in box 1 and 11. Our actual course is box 12, Azure SQL DBA Concepts. In more detail on the screen. Make sure we have complete concepts control on, especially performance tuning and architecture. Just revise them. Use me for your doubts and clarifications. Do let me know for doubts, clarifications, etc. Box 1 contains all the basic activities, linked servers, remote joins, etc. And box 1, the basics. Whereas the box number 11, the SQL DBA, it includes the concepts required for a junior DBA or maybe a senior DBA non-cloud environment. A non-cloud environment activities. Once again, our menu. Number 12. Number 11, what it includes? The blue items, right from index, backup, jobs, maintenance plans, repairs, HADR, upgrades, migrations. For every concept, we have minimum 10 errors. Minimum. It's more into errors. The more the number of errors we are aware of, we should be more capable in handling mission critical activities. That is the base, core DBA. Then comes PaaS, platform as a service. Then comes finally IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Okay, so this is our actual Azure course. In Azure as well, as a DBA, we need to have good number of errors and solutions. So revise all concepts as per our course curriculum, chapters 1 to 30. 31 to 40 are our actual Azure DBA classes. Right from cloud to always on activities. Please revise on-premise always on to step into Azure always on. And in case if you are looking for any refresher kind of thing, you may start from chapter 1 from scratch if you are looking for a refresher. You're already aware of all these concepts in a good pace. Better you start from chapter 31 itself. Based on your comfort, you will choose the plan. Either core plus Azure, or only Azure, and we have ETL admin. ETL admin is more into warehouse, data factory, data lake, synapse analytics, storage, stream analytics, monitoring, data bricks, notifications, insights, key vaults, encryption, so on for a different certification, a different one, DP203. So choice is yours. You may opt for Azure Azure SQL DBA DP300 or with ETL admin add-on DP203. Accordingly, you have the duration on the screen. In Azure, a premier cloud environment, in Azure, we need to learn from scratch what is cloud, benefits of cloud, and why we need to go for Azure. What are the benefits of Azure? Let's get them carefully now. First, Azure Cloud. Cloud is a virtual environment to store any type of data or any application software. Easy, secured, faster. Easy, secured, and faster. Next, what are the benefits of cloud? You may ask me, why don't we stick back to non-cloud, traditional enterprise data hosting? Why to go for cloud? Yes, no physical infrastructure is involved. For example, we'll be understanding how to create an Azure SQL server and host an Azure SQL database. It can be done within moments, just moments, because no specific operating system requirements are involved like this. For example, in our initial classes, we learned something called SQL server. There comes something called logical server. Click on create and you simply provide the server name, location where you wanted to host, give authentication, admin login name, password, give some password and just confirm the password again and you are done. That's it, you are done. No database engine service. If you compare with your regular SQL server, no database engine control, no service level control, no collation control by default, no location, no physical location, no operating system dependencies are running the SCC tool, system configuration checker tool, right? We run the SCC tool to check whether this SQL server can be installed on this computer or not. That SCC tool is not required anymore. System configuration checker tool. And just fraction of minutes, provide the server, login name, admin login name, password, and done. Super simple, straightforward, but comes at extra price tag. As we know, we want more, we need to invest more. As simple as that, right? Quality comes with price. The same holds good for cloud. Quality comes with price, investment. So server would be ready and we can happily create databases. I mean, once again back, no physical infrastructure is involved, less maintenance overhead. Of course, there are few deployments where we can specify particular IP address, particular RAM, memory, processor, so on. We can do it. But at the same time, At the same time, we have good amount of activities we need to learn with low maintenance overhead. No physical infrastructure is involved. Easy threat management, easy maintenance, free and automated service pack or upgrades. Various levels of complex security implementations, free and paid. Support open source technologies, Spark SQL, PySpark, etc. Popular cloud providers, Azure Cloud, Azure Microsoft Cloud, Google Cloud Platform, AWS, Amazon Web Services. Out of these providers, Azure, we vote for it if we are looking for something cheaper, easy to use, free, and easy manageable tools. Tools are free at Microsoft always, unlike other cloud providers. And easy interface, cheaper, $5 a month, we can start spinning up a database. Just $5 a month. Highly secure. We pay more, we get more security. Most of the government organizations prefer to go for Azure. They support, they enjoy free support, free updates, free tools, and easy user interface. Many governments across the globe, most of the Europe governments do depend on Azure governance activities. Majority US based companies, including ADP, working for and serving the US based government organizations for invoicing and billing towards utility bills. They use Azure. Many product based companies like Dell, Lenovo, they use Azure integrated with Windows. Many e-commerce sites, including Flipkart, they use Azure, and many food and healthcare businesses. For example, you come to food, Zomato, Swiggy, they use Azure. We could see a lot of use cases at Microsoft side towards Swiggy. One such use case part of our Power BI cloud with Azure SQL. We have it. So the environments, SaaS, PaaS, EAS, SaaS, PaaS, and EAS. What is this? Yes, SaaS, PaaS, and EAS. There are three different implementations. And before I proceed, I was talking about something called Swiggy, right? Here it is. The Swiggy data matrix with Power BI. And one such simple analysis, one such simple analysis. I'll just take you to the insights. I'll just take you to the insights, something like this. Or go to Microsoft.com. That's a link actually I got from Microsoft, okay? Let me take you to Microsoft once. And once we get into Microsoft, there we have something called AI, artificial intelligence. AI. Majority of the AI activities are backed by Azure for Copilot activities. There's something called Security Copilot and Sales Copilot. They need backend, and backend will be Azure. And hence comes the concept of Azure AI, Azure Artificial Intelligence. But everywhere we need data. Data needs SQL, Azure SQL databases. And that is our actual course. Azure SQL database concepts. This Azure SQL database has three different flavors. Let me show you once. Create and something called Azure SQL. There are three flavors of Azure SQL. Here it is. Once we click on Azure SQL, you see three different implementation flavors. One is serverless. Again, three items in serverless. Other one lift and shift with specific operating system. We need to buy OS license like Windows, Linux, etc. Well, here we go. And we have something called SQL managed instances. What is this? It is a hybrid of both serverless and operating. Here serverless means OS less, remember. Serverless means OS less. And with operating system, pros and cons of both mixed together into SQL managed instance. To understand these implementations, we need to proceed with something called SaaS PaaS EAS. SaaS, software as a service, 100% cloud, no software to install, cloud manages everything. And PaaS, platform as a service, 80% cloud, 80% cloud, and 20% non-cloud. Most of the operations are cloud managed, and our involvement is limited to security and monitoring. Remember, SaaS means 100% cloud. PaaS, platform as a service, 80% cloud, 20% non-cloud. Then we have something called IaaS, infrastructure as a service. 50% cloud will manage, remaining 50% you and me. We need to manage. I go to a restaurant. I'll say place for four, table for four. Myself, my wife, and my two kids. Now, we will be shown a table, free, chairs, free, ambience, free, right? Simple. I go to Azure, I have security, free, monitoring, free, alerts, free, notification, free. Those are all SaaS components. You take SQL Server in Azure, 80% it is taking care, remaining 20% we need to choose, like the name of the server, admin name, password, location. We are choosing it few minutes back. That is PaaS. Whereas Azure Active Directory, automatically given by Microsoft, it takes care. Monitoring, automatically given by Microsoft. Well, here it is. Infrastructure as a service, IaaS, 50% cloud, 50% non-cloud. Hosting operations are cloud managed. We need to manage infrastructure capacity, networking, etc. With this information, I'll repeat once again. Simple and straight. SaaS, There are few inbuilt components Microsoft Azure will take care. We need not do anything. There are few components wherein majority cloud will take care, remaining we need to take care. And there are few things 50%, 50%. For example, let's go for this one, virtual machine. We need to select some operating system for SQL server implementation. Then it will ask us for which region you wanted and which image, operating system image you need, and what kind of disks you wanted, what kind of network you need, management, monitoring, etc. More details are involved, right? Like for example, operating system disk, you want hard disk, HDD, or premium SSD, solid state disk, etc. It will ask us for more additional activities like port numbers, authentications, security, kind of storage system. Like for example, 1 terabyte for data, 1 terabyte for log, and local SSD for temp DB, etc. Processor, memory. So these kind of interventions are involved in IaaS, infrastructure as a service. We need to involve in infrastructure activities. In our classes, here are the examples. Active Directory and Monitor, SaaS will take care, SaaS components. PaaS, SQL Server, IaaS, VM, network, clusters, and again SQL servers here as well. So SQL Server is implemented, our course, our SQL Server is implemented in two different platforms. As on date, there is no SQL Server for SaaS. Most of the AI, Azure AI components come under SaaS, but they need data. So they need SQL, that is PaaS and IaaS. I mean, SaaS depends on PaaS and IaaS. SaaS is like a front end. PaaS and IaaS are like middle and back end, something like that. So we need to work in detail about these items. So as I was mentioning few minutes back, there are three different implementations for SQL Server. PaaS, two models. IaaS, two models. Azure SQL database, Azure virtual machine, part of our classes. Part of our classes. Azure managed instance. The Azure managed instance, it is a hybrid of 1 and 2 here. 1 month for SQL database and Azure VM, 1 month. If you are an experienced Azure database administrator, then you may opt for Azure managed instance, mainly for senior database consultants, architects. We designed this course. Managed instance. It needs full command grip on all these items with practical, hands-on, and complete end-to-end implementation of project management technically. Then MI, a very, very costly affair, and still it's doing very good in the market. There are very, very few alternatives for Azure MI in the outside market. It's a hybrid of both PaaS and SaaS. Sorry, PaaS and IaaS. What we do in Azure MI? Simple auto cluster of databases. In fact, auto cluster of all SQL Server instances, lift and shift from on-premise, lift and shift from VM, and migration from SQL databases. Simple. A serverless component is converted to a server dependency component. Here are the basic differences on the screen. Where to start with? Yes, of course, we need to have the logical SQL server and VM to start with. Then we shall proceed for the actual next item, that is MI if required. So you may start from the scratch. If in case you are planning to go for Azure MI, please revise the PaaS and IaaS activities thoroughly. Number one. Number two, for Azure MI, I said it's auto clustering. So Windows administration activities are also a prerequisite. DP300 certification for Azure DBAs involves basic overview of MI, which is part of our regular Azure SQL DBA concepts. Our Azure SQL DBA concepts, they have the overview of Azure MI anyway. We'll take it from the scratch carefully, step by step. Make sure you revise all these core database management activities to step into Azure. Here we'll talk about the Azure MI concepts overview. Like what is what? It should be fine for DP300. DP300 concentrates more on core DBA, about 30 to 40%, and 60 to 70% on Azure DBA. I assure you complete practice orientation. Make sure we practice on time throughout the course. And concept-wise assignments, concept-wise assignments, concept-wise common errors and solutions, part of our classes. All I need from you is support. On-time practice is the key factor here. Either you go for on-demand videos or live, the same concept, same curriculum. Any further questions, clarifications, kindly reach me directly on this number.